Hello everyone, and welcome to what I'm declaring the final for at least a short time, Belly to Baby. We have been at this now for 20 some odd weeks. Joe here would say 45 years, but that's only because he's been with me through every minute of it. Everybody meet my husband Joe.
Yay!
Yes, and Dr. Camaryn Chrisman Robbins, who has been here repeatedly, and Joe has been referenced a number of times. It seemed only fair that we put you through the ringer yourself.
Welcome!
Oh, thank you.
He's
Yay.
so excited.
The filler of content, I'm here.
That's right. One extra week. Who are we going to have on there? We're going to have the dad on there. So today we're talking all things related to what the partner experiences throughout the pregnancy process, the birth, and then those first few glorious days home with baby where it's sleeping regularly and eating like a champ.
And they haven't learned to cry yet, so they're very quiet.
Exactly. I heard a baby crying yesterday. I had an ultrasound appointment, and a baby was crying in there, and lady came out and called me, and I was like, thank you, I'm just not ready for that. And she's like, well, you better be ready soon, which is so cute. My name is Abby. This is week 39 in pregnancy for our total. Please let us know in the comments if you are closing in on a due date or even just getting started. All of these episodes are cataloged on YouTube so that if you have any questions, you can easily go back and reference them. But today, I think we just get started and dive right in with all the burning questions Joe has. So what has this experience been like for you, Joe? We've also declared this a safe space. Nothing can be held against him.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily talking about Abby. I'm just talking about women in general who are going through pregnancy and stuff like that. Not you.
Not me.
Not you at all.
No, I've been a dream.
Well, I mean, going into pregnancy, I've had a lot of friends who had babies, and one of the things that one of my friends, Kate, would always talk about, her husband would talk about, was a lack of filter. You know, all of a sudden she would have a thought that would start here and come out right there. It would never go through a processing. You know, like we don't want to talk about that. I've noticed that at times in my wife's driving, it's like she comes home, it's like there are a bunch of crazy people on the road.
There are.
Right? So there's a lot of emotional,
there's
a lot of emotional things that go on.
Is that a typical thing? Sorry, Joe, I'm cutting you off.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I think it is tied in the later you... So at the beginning of pregnancy, you're tired and a lot of people are really nauseous. You just don't feel well. At the end of pregnancy, you can't get comfortable, so those sort of 8 hours of sleep or 6 hours of sleep that you're used to are interrupted. And I like to think of that as priming you to be ready to wake up and hear a baby who needs you or take care of a baby, but it's also, it's obviously just mechanical. You can't get comfortable in bed. So you're sleep deprived. And of course, these things lead to irritability and being short-tempered, and I think that's okay. Yeah, it's out there.
And I would throw in anxiety toward the end too.
Oh,
like
for
just
sure.
In terms of, I was saying as I was walking in here, I've grown very entitled in the last few weeks because I can't do anything for myself, which is frustrating. But at the same time, then you've got the impending end of this is near, but it has to get out.
So would that be like nothing below your knee and nothing above your shoulder is your responsibility and hasn't been?
But it was a rule that Joe implemented in our house, is that anything that fell below my knees or above my shoulders was not my responsibility, which has been very difficult, though, I will say, because not in terms of...
That's tough to operationalize.
It is. You have to have someone else around, and you have to ask for help. And that's not always easy. And because when it's something like, I just dropped a sweetener packet on the floor, the contortions you have to get in to pull something out from underneath a cabinet that has fallen, it's just silly. His toothbrush is lost for good. But, don't worry, we got him a new one. But it's humbling in a very frustrating kind of way, I would say.
Well, I think one of the biggest things I've noticed is Abby has lost the ability to multitask.
Oh, it's gone.
She has, she's very smart, very talented, and does a lot of things at once, and has a big list of things going on. She no longer has that ability because she's sleep deprived, or she's tired, or she's carrying a watermelon around. And so one of the things is that's an adjustment for the partner, and I think that's one of the biggest adjustments for me, is knowing when I can address issues or not address issues, because something we've learned, that things that are funny, normal relationship, you never know if it's funny. So unless she's laughing, it's not funny. So then you never bring up a new topic.
I believe that yesterday there was a point point at which I said, this would be funny under normal circumstances, but right now I'm on the brink of tears, so you have to stop, and you have to stop now.
Which is huge, because we went to a class, and we were sitting there, and there's a gentleman in the front row, and he's like, okay, and this is a 9 to 5 o'clock on a Saturday, and he's starting to do, and he's starting to fall asleep. And which to me is funny, because I know the pain he's going to feel later. And I turn over to Abby, and I say, Abby, check out the guy over there. And she goes, you do that, I will punch you in the throat. And I'm like, okay, we're not going to deal about that
Violence is
today.
never funny, but I may have been serious. So what would your advice be? I mean, in the whole pregnancy journey, and you've been through this yourself as well as with a bunch of patients. A bunch is probably an understatement at this point. What advice do you give to partners as they begin this journey?
So the advice, we talked a little bit before we went live, whether we should compartmentalize our discussion into trimester-based advice. I don't know about that, but I do know there's pre and post-baby advice. So pre-baby, I think the way, Joe, you've described, just sort of adjusting a little bit and recognizing, I mean, it's part of long-term relationships, right? We have partners who go through bad times at work. We have partners who go through physical illnesses, and you have to just kind of roll with a little bit. And the end of pregnancy is predominantly some anxiety and sleep deprivation, and let's not underestimate just feeling uncomfortable every moment of the day. You know, it's not necessarily like pain, and I'm really hesitant to label pregnancy as anything other than a state of being. It's not a disease, it's not a, you know, disability certainly, but it's uncomfortable, and I think we have to recognize that. So as a partner, just like you'd be supportive in any other situation where things have shifted a bit, just being patient and knowing it is time limited, right? So this isn't the rest of your relationship with somebody. This has an end date, and then the challenges shift, but welcome to life, you know?
Yeah.
I think that helps a lot of people recognizing it's not forever. We got to get through this. It'll shift again soon. And this is hard for me because I'm in my white coat and I'm trying my best to give the perspective of someone who's taken care of pregnant women for 12 years now, I think. But in the middle of these comments are going to be some personal anecdotes because I've had 2 babies, and so this is getting into more of the touchy-feely side of things.
Oh, it totally
not
is touchy-feely.
science, yeah.
We're all about the feelings today. The thanks. Thanks. It's so nice.
That was so nice.
Pet the baby. The having children of your own. So you had been in practice for a few years by the time you had your own kids. How did that influence your experience, or was it? Did you expect things better than you think normal people do? Because you're not normal. You're special.
I think I was humbled.
Yeah.
I really was. I was disappointed almost in myself that I was uncomfortable. I was tired, because I think when you haven't gone through it yourself and you talk to patients and their partners and their families, you have a little bit different. You guys are going to peek behind the curtain, but you're a little less patient. You're like, you're pregnant. Like, you don't have a disability. You're pregnant. But I think when you experience it, it's not fair to yourself not to acknowledge, like, I really don't feel good right now. Like, I used to run X miles a week, and now I can run none miles a week. Like, these are adjustments you have to make, and you have to be kind to yourself and patient with yourself, and ask your support system to be kind and patient with you, because you never know. I'm telling you, some women run marathons in their 3rd trimester, and you talk to them in the office, and they're thinking, and they have no complaints at all. They feel great. Like, maybe they're even wearing their non-pregnancy pants. Like, it happens. There are people who feel great when they're pregnant. But just because that's not you, emotionally, physically, or both, that doesn't mean anything's wrong. And it's okay to talk about it.
Sure. And I think there's also some element of, too, that, and you've seen things go incredibly right. You've seen things go very wrong and have very unfortunate situations. And everybody has that perspective. We have friends who have had really unfortunate circumstances befall them for absolutely no reason, so you feel bad. And we talked about this in the 1st trimester video, how guilty you feel about ever complaining. But at the same time, sometimes I'm just like, I realize that I'm not the first person to ever have a baby. I realize that this is temporary. I realize that we are so lucky, but right now, I just want to have a pity party.
Well, and I think there's a part of that. You have to work with your partner and figure out a way to get what you need as a dad to be or a partner
Yeah.
supportive, because for me, you know, I've watched this really nice program, Belly's the Baby, over the course of 15, 20
Have you learned
weeks.
something?
And I've learned a lot, but then again, there's other things that I needed. So, you know, there's 5 weeks ago, and I'm watching the episode you guys are talking about, making a list and all that fun stuff, and I had the opportunity to know, okay, these are what I should be doing at this time. But I had to communicate to my partner, so I had to pick a right spot. So one day when she was laughing, I went to her and I said, okay, get a piece of paper. These are a list of the things that I need.
Oh, you brought me sticky notes.
Yeah.
Because-
if I'm going to be held accountable to what's on them.
So I said to her,
Wednesday was like 3 Wednesdays
So this
ago.
is the stuff you were responsible for.
I
That he
said,
wanted me to have done.
I said on a Thursday or Friday, by next Wednesday,
I think this was
next
at 36
Wednesday,
weeks.
Yeah.
these are the things I need in order to make your
Got it.
world better, so my world can be better. Because the way I work is, you know, give me the list, I'll take care of the list, but don't come home in a panic mode every night, because
You can't
I need to know what
intuit
you need.
what she. Yeah, exactly. So you don't want to read these for the.
Should we? All right, I was going to say, should
This
we
is
read
the,
some off?
This is the list of things.
What did you ask for?
Joe
Okay.
needed.
I'm not
You can
really,
read some of them.
Should I be accountable?
You
No,
don't-
they're fine.
Oh,
There's nothing inappropriate about any of them except that some of them.
but
may or may not
knowing
be
that we
checked
were
off the
5
list.
weeks out, and then I watched this
Okay.
wonderful informative show,
Uh-huh.
and they said, this is something you should do by 5 weeks out. At 3.5 weeks, I'm like, can I have my list fulfilled? So
I
the
think
list
there are
had some
only
really
two
nice
things on there
things.
that aren't complete,
Pack your bag.
which is mostly done. I mean,
Kind of.
so it made you feel better to know Abby had packed the bag.
With all the things she
I
needed
just,
in her.
she
I just
needed.
needed
Got
to
it.
have my things out. Like if you're
Yeah.
packing for a trip,
Yeah,
just had to have everything
Yep.
out on the bag.
got it.
Practice the positions that you want to do in order to alleviate the pain that you have
During labor.
during labor.
We had the labor class where the fellow was falling asleep.
I wanted the contact information for the doctor.
I think that's fair.
Checked.
I wanted the list of all the things you wanted assembled in the house.
So good.
Still not done.
Uh,
Sorry.
Not done list or
No,
not?
excuse me. Accountability here. I have not made the list.
Okay.
I wanted a list of people to inform when we go in and when we come out.
Oh my gosh, this is so good.
He's
I
very
wanted a tour of the
organized.
hospital
Okay.
because we hadn't done that,
Uh-huh.
and I wanted a list of snacks she wanted.
Can I have snacks more than later? Well, okay, you're a doctor and you have to say no. Okay.
What if you need an emergency C-section? That's a big
Ew.
deal. If you have food in your belly, that's a big deal.
That. Yeah. Oh, planning. So anyway, but the list of snacks, I bought fruit snacks at least. I had to replenish the stores because he had a pile of snacks.
But
and
you're
now-
gonna want food for postpartum because you don't want the hospital. Sorry. You may love the delicious menu
Oh, I thought
options
I
at
didn't
a
know what you were
hospital,
apologizing for. Okay, sorry.
But you may choose to eat your own food that you enjoy yourself. Someone say something quick.
Very
So
enough to
that's
do
kind of
on
the
this
list of things I needed.
I've
3 to
actually been
5
told the
weeks
hospital food is quite delicious.
The
but you know,
breakfast
we eat
is-
it
I'm
every
looking
day.
forward to it.
The
So that
breakfast
was
is
the list
awesome.
I had 3.5 weeks ago. Now I have a list for you.
Okay.
So whether it's a thunderbolt or it's the real Armageddon of the baby's coming,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I want to know
Okay.
what is Abby going to go through that day. What
Okay.
are the stages that I'm going to have to be supported through?
If I can
And
say
recognize.
nothing else, this is the most important for me to say, personally and professionally. There will very possibly be false alarms. So, painful, huffing, puffing contractions every 8 minutes for 3 hours that stop. And it's an emotional roller coaster because you're like, this is it, and now it's over.
Is anything happening when those
Yes,
contractions
a
are going
lot
on?
is going on.
Okay.
It's a dress rehearsal. The
Okay.
muscles are talking to each other. The cervix is getting softer. There's all these things. But I think as someone, because Abby's going to be excited, scared, in pain, frustrated, exhausted, all these things. So I think as a support person, if it's a grandmother, an aunt, a best friend, a husband, a wife, whatever, to just roll with it. And remember my words, that there can be dress rehearsals that aren't the real deal. It's not a failure of the uterus or the woman or the baby. It's just sometimes you go in, you get checked, you leave, you go back home. So there's these sort of physiologically important priming processes
But
that
when
are
they're
happening.
5 minutes apart and an hour, get in there.
Yes. you don't know. You have to, if Abby cannot talk through the contractions and it's been an hour and they're at least and they're 5 minutes to 8 minutes apart, just go in and get checked. That's a perfectly normal, acceptable thing to do. And then that cervical check determines whether you stay or go back home. Or sometimes you can stay and walk and get checked again. Like there's different, but you just
at this point
you have to do your due diligence and put the baby on the monitor and see what's up.
So we get in and they keep us. All right.
Yes.
They say, hey, it's go time.
Yep.
It's time to go. From there, this is my concept. At some point, she's gonna be a little bit panicked. At some point, she's gonna say, I can't do this.
At some point, she's probably gonna be mean.
And a gator's just gonna bounce down on me, you know. But, you know, and then at some point, you know, you're going to work through that. Are there common stages that women go through during that dance? Because, you know, I've never been in there, and I really have no idea what to expect except what you're going to tell me now.
Yeah, so the hard answer is you don't know till you're in it, and I also don't know what partners are going to do till they're in it. Somebody who's been cool as a cucumber the whole pregnancy will really have a hard time with that loss of control. And a mom who's been really anxious is like, in labor. Like, it's hard to predict. And you guys may not have the roles you think you're going to have.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's really interesting. So if I could give you like a prescribed process, I would. But I think you have to recognize in each other that loss of control, because ultimately that's what it is. We've done belly to baby. We've made our list. We've prepped. But when labor starts, all you can do is just have your team around you that you trust and go with what happens. Your cervix may get to 5, then stop. You may push 3 hours and the baby doesn't come out. You may have really high blood pressure even when you feel totally fine. Like you just, you don't know. So having kind of, maybe you guys could come up with like a code word that'll like break the tension or make you laugh, or have something on one of your laptops, like a funny show that you like. I wouldn't recommend a movie, they're too long, but like 20, 30, have you seen
Pulp Fiction? Yeah, I love it.
No,
I've never
Life
seen it
in
before.
Pieces. Have you seen Life in Pieces?
No, you were the second person to mention
Plug.
that to
I
me
didn't.
this week.
Am I allowed to? I don't know.
Yeah,
I won't see
totally.
the network. They're 23 minutes or something, like without commercials. Hilarious pieces. Like I would just have a plan to be distracted and to maybe even enjoy each other a little bit, because she'll probably snap at you. I mean, I gotta be honest. It hurts.
It's not a small creature that's coming out of a big space there.
Can everyone see her abdomen?
It's large. I was saying before, I don't know if I can't move that well anymore. But I was saying before we started, there was a show in the 90s. Was it called Dinosaurs? Do we know? It was some sort of
The Not the Mama thing?
Yes. And there was someone on that show, I want to say it was a grandmother or something, who, when you saw her, she was just sort of like one flowing piece of person or animal. I guess she was a dinosaur. She just went out. And I saw the last week's episode in my Facebook feed, and I looked at her and I was like, I look like that one from the Not the Mama dinosaur video. Like there's just, but it is just, I mean, it's the end of pregnancy is what it is.
Yeah.
And as a note to partners, this is where you might think of something funny, but you don't say it. And you wait for a later time to tell your friends, because that's who find it funny.
That's fair.
So we have a great little baby, comes out, we're in the hospital for 2 days.
Wait. How involved do you want to be in the coming out?
Oh, do tell.
You know, our whole theory has been mama and baby come out healthy.
Okay.
Right? I'm pretty good and comfortable being around south of the border.
You won't be you don't pass out when you see blood.
No, I only pass out with my own blood.
Oh.
But besides that, you know, I've been in
This
places.
is like therapy. We're learning a lot about each other right now.
So
I mean, I've been in deliveries where I have to ask the dad to move because his head is like on the perineum watching the baby's head. And I'm like, excuse me. I've been in deliveries where, thump, pass out.
Sure.
On
Well,
the
and
ground.
I will say
There's
I
got to be a
originally-
middle ground though,
Yeah,
right?
I think there is.
I
I
would-
think it depends on how things are going, right? And how easy it is, and whether it's been 36 hours or 5.
Yeah.
You know.
And originally I would have said north of the equator. Absolutely everyone but the medical professionals required to deal with that. Now know, I've just gotten to the point that I don't care.
No.
I think we've talked about this before. Whenever they tell me students are following my doctor, I'm like, man, it's fine. Come on, I don't care.
So, but I think holding legs and getting cool washcloths and ice chips if Abby's thirsty,
No
and
flavor ices. Now, if I bring some from home, can they
No.
put those in the freezer?
no, I'm sorry.
You think people are just a bunch of fun suckers, is what you are.
Because she likes flavor ices.
They are tasty.
Yeah.
Okay, so plain ice cubes.
If it is a C-section, you're sitting there holding her hand, taking pictures of the baby and this and that. Like, there's a lot that your labor nurses do this for their job. They know how to get you involved, make you feel
Sure.
like you're participating in whatever way you're comfortable. Okay, so then the baby comes out. But I would, the two of you, have a little bit of a talk about plans for the equator.
Okay. And then, so now the baby's out.
Do
And
you think
baby
you
goes,
might have an eclipse baby?
That is my hope. It is my hope and my dream. But at present, I am at this point. I will have
She's
to
not.
walk the kid out. The kid is not giving
You
any
never know.
signs
You
that it
never
wants
know.
to exit. So, no, I was born, and I may have mentioned this on the show before. I've told everyone and randomly in passing. I was born on the night of a full lunar eclipse. So as soon as we were given the due date for this, and I'd heard the thing about the solar eclipse, I was like, this is amazing. And my dad swore, he's like, that's going to be so cool, but the kid's going to come out with a 666 stamped across his forehead.
Wait a minute.
No.
Yeah.
But
But
what
we
about
will have to name the kid
Soleil?
Sunny if it's a
Yes.
boy and Luna if it's a girl. But
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
Well, that makes that process easier. At least
yeah,
for
it
me.
makes that easy.
But
Find
no,
your name.
I would love for it to be a solar eclipse
that'd
baby,
be
and it would
cool.
be 2 days early. It would be
We have
really
some
awesome.
people asking not to be induced for the eclipse
Really?
because some cultures
see
think that it's bad luck.
Okay.
And other people are calling our office wanting their induction date or C-section on, so they deliver on Monday.
They're 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you just don't want to be the doctor who's on call at 1:30 in the afternoon because don't you want to watch it?
Yeah, I'm luckily on nights, so I'll be able to go
It'll be
somewhere
perfect.
to your parking lot at your job.
Yeah, that's right. In St. Clair.
In St. Clair.
There you go.
Okay, so the baby came
The
out.
baby came out and goes right to mom.
Goes
usually.
to mom
I mean,
if that's what you want, and the
Mhm.
baby's okay and you're okay. Yep, so baby's on mom, and the OBs are doing their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happened.
That's sewing. They're doing a sewing project.
And
Can
and
you sew as well?
then friendship bracelets.
Can
I-
I say, can you sew?
I don't know.
Crochet?
I've never tried. I'm terrible at crocheting and knitting.
Latch hook?
Okay.
I love latch
Okay.
I don't even
And
know
on,
what
on
that
with the
is.
show. So I'm
Okay.
not really worried about the hospital because this is covered in previous episodes.
Uh-huh.
What I'm really worried about is when they say, okay, here's your baby, go home. All right?
Okay.
So we pull up to the house, we walk in, we shoo away our neighbor who's always watching everything.
Okay.
Hi, Connie. And we now have this baby who needs to be fed every 3 hours. And for the next week, that's the plan.
How much work can you take off?
I'm going to take off the first full week and
Okay.
then time after that for a while.
Okay.
I mean, and Labor Day weekend will be nice. So
So-
we'll probably have 2 weeks together.
Okay. Here's the part that's hard for dads, I think. Personally and professionally, anecdotally, or whatever. Is really Abby and the baby are this biological dyad. They need each other. And I think the dads can feel a little bit out of it.
Mhm.
And that's not a happy feeling to feel sort of sidelined because you can't breastfeed. Now, if Abby pumps, you can do some bottles and things, but I just think that first week especially, you have to think of the baby as almost still attached to her. So there's nothing really, I mean, diapering is a big help, and like cleaning the baby off if they spit up, like that's really helpful, but the support that Abby, in my opinion, is going to need is food and stuff to drink. She's going to be so hungry nursing that baby. Like, you want to eat so much.
Even in the first few weeks?
Yes.
Really?
And thirsty. I mean, everyone's different, but I remember personally, I was so nonstop thirsty. So, like, having somebody bring me a water was like the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me. But like, it's just kind of making sure the mom and the baby are together and warm and safe, and then all the other crap that's not fun, like laundry, is really helpful. But that doesn't like bring you the joy of being a new father. But
then
it's-
that's what you need. There's a process and there's a give and take, you know. And getting more refined to that would be more to my question. It's like, okay, we've got a noon feeding, we got a 3 feeding, we got a 8 feeding, and we're going to keep on this thing. So, in the middle of the night, you know what can I do to get mom back to bed as fast as I can? And what do I expect? Do I feed, then it poops right away, and then I go and, or we're going to get a poop, and then we're going to feed, and then is there a pattern and a...
Your kids will tell you. Yeah, honestly, right? So I think, everyone has a system, and they're going to tell you what system they had. Try one and see if it works, and then your baby will be like, suckers, this is not me, and then you flip it. But I do think that, especially in the first week, you have to have some protected time that you sleep and some protected time that you sleep. And unfortunately, if your baby does eat every 2 to 3 hours, or sometimes it'll cluster to every hour, but trust me, it won't last forever. That's just, babies do that. You've got to be there in some way to help Abby, and Abby, you have to be sort of available to say what you need and how Joe can help you. So luckily you guys have family in town and you have help, and a 1 hour nap feels amazing. So you're going to have to make time. So a lot of people are like, oh, I'll be home, moms and dads and moms and support people who work. Well, I'll be home, I can do all these things. It'll be like time away from work, which is hilarious. But I remember thinking it because I was preparing for my boards when I was about to have a baby. And I'm like, oh my God, I'll totally study for my boards because I, as an OBGYN, didn't get it. So I took my boards with an 8-week-old.
I don't have any boards to take.
But I thought I would do all these things. So I can imagine, like, my husband may have thought, well, I'll have a week home, but I'm going to schedule these 5 conference calls and I'm going to do these things. Like, I would just encourage everyone, support people, Joe, to literally count on sleeping when you can, because you're going to be up all night just like Abby is.
Well, that's another question, too, because we had, and this is just the logical side, and I'm thinking of an example with Adam and Carrie. So Adam, and in that first week that you described, Adam is my brother, Carrie is his wife. Favorite, wonderful people. But he, I think, envisioned being super dad, and wanted to be super involved, which he was, but you can only be so super involved with an infant who is breastfeeding in particular. So it was adapting to, and this is all speculation on my part and observation that was taken over a very short weekend of time. So it could have been totally different in their actual experience. But learning how to adapt and help in other ways. And then
it's the non-glamorous stuff that really helps, though.
Yeah.
Like all hands on deck. Like, let's not have 4-day-old dirty dishes in the sink because the bugs come. Like, plan on no bugs. Plan on clean dishes.
Clean peanut butter knives. That's my problem. I leave knives with peanut butter on them, and apparently we have not had mice, but I've been told bugs like mice, but bugs and mice like peanut butter, so I need to put them in a nice way. Anyway, there was an actual point to this. I just derailed my
Super dad.
Overnight. So when baby needs to be fed overnight, if mom physically doesn't need the help, do you still advise that dad try and be awake?
For at least one feeding, I feel like take a break, get sleep, but you, like, imagine every time the baby needs to eat, you with a recent vagina or abdominal issue are getting out of bed, getting the baby, changing the diaper, feeding, spitting up, cleaning, putting the baby down. Like, that's a lot in that first week to ask of your body. So just physical help is huge.
Oh, see, I'm so naive. In my mind, I'm just like, oh, it just needs to be fed. But
God.
It needs other things.
And it's like a 20 minutes you're up, plus the cleanup, plus the diaper and all that.
And
so you can be up for an hour.
You may have a baby that feeds for 5 minutes. You may have a baby that's 30 minutes on each breast. And then they sleep for 1 hour and they're ready again. Like, and it shifts. So, but I just think you have to be ready for whatever. And I think it's fair to say, hey, for the 3-ish a.m., I got this, you go rest. But to say I'm going to do every feeding overnight because I'm the one with the boobs, it's more than that.
Yeah. Okay.
And how lucky are you guys? Like, a lot of people don't have the choice of being home at all. Like, they even have to go back to work while mom's on postpartum.
I oftentimes we had dinner the other night with a friend who had made a very conscious decision. She wanted to have children independently, and more power to her. She's doing a great job. But I just kept looking at her thinking, how did you do this by yourself? I don't and so many women do it. And then, and people who don't have the option to take time off of work and things like that. So we're, again, back to the so fortunate that that is available to us.
So talk about mama's recovery. Obviously there's, you've covered postpartum in earlier segments, but physically getting back to the things that she wants to do, whether it's getting herself back in an active state that she wants to be in. What's the time frame for, hey, you know what, she can walk around the block, she can push the kid around the block, or she can just, hey,
2 weeks I think is pretty fair, even if 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how the baby came out and how much collateral damage was done.
Collateral damage. Just say collateral damage.
But 1 to 2 weeks, that's fair. Good walks, and you need air, and you need sun on your face, and you need friends to take you out, not just come and sit and hold your baby. That's not what you need. You need humans and the outside world a little bit.
And it is nice, at least we've talked about this many times, and I said this at the beginning, it is not going to be delightful to be pregnant during the heat of summer, but man, it'll be nice in the fall to have those first couple of weeks home when it's nice outside, which will be great. And the baby will want to go on walks, and it won't cry because, babies don't cry all the time.
It's a wonder baby.
It's a wonder baby.
It's a wonder baby. But I think it's fair to emotionally.
And this kind of goes back to my list. It's like, so I know in the next 2 weeks, all hands on deck. You know what? If I'm disappearing for, 5 hours in a day, you know what? There might be someone who stops by and says, hey, you know what? I'll hold the baby while you shower, Abby, or those kind of things, especially in those first 2 weeks before she feels, I'm going to have the luxury of working from home at times, and that's going to help partially, but then you're still working. In those first 2 weeks.
And that's going to be hard for you, maybe. Because I think that's normal too, to feel a little bit lonely. Like, well, how come other people are like back to work and they're going out and doing things, and I'm like, I don't know. I think
Billy
the sleep
Joel's
deprivation
in town,
and
that is hard. I did say that about Billy Joel.
You did.
Early on, I was like, can I go to? Wait, what? Who?
No matter how much you wanted to be a mom, no matter how much you chose this, no matter how much you love your baby, there's moments of like, I'm really freaking jealous that you get to go to Schnucks by yourself and you get to wander the produce aisle for 20 minutes and no one needs your left breast. Oh, how nice for you. I mean, there's just a little bit of like, and it's okay. I just think not being ashamed about feelings of like, I'm stuck at my home.
That is so funny that you mentioned that. I've said that many times along the way, probably not so much to you, but to other friends, the amount of times that I've been irritated by something that I know that I wanted this my whole time.
Well, it reminds me of I've had a lot of friends with kids, and the best advice I got was from my friend Chris, who has gone through 5 pregnancies. They have 1 set of twins, so they have 6 kids, and he goes to me and he goes, just remember, she's not mad at you. She's not angry. She's just pregnant. Which was a huge insight, because they're going back to sleep deprivation, tired, not feeling like yourself, not being able to do the things you can normally do, not multitasking. People are irritable.
And I'm a mess when I'm tired. I know that much. Tired or hungry, don't cross me.
And it's a huge thing for your partner when you say things like, man, I was crazy yesterday. And that recognition is just a huge relief that 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks after birth, that filter comes back, the smile is not a hidden, things are funny again.
There are daggers here.
There will be.
I thought we were in a tree of trust.
We are in a tree of trust. There was a point on
I thought
Sunday.
we were in a safe place.
There were a couple of things that we both said along the way that have been, I think, wildly entertaining and we'll remember forever. But my favorite was on Sunday. I was really uncomfortable on Saturday. Like, I was convinced actually Saturday night, and we were out with friends who one of them looked at me and said, "You will not make it past Wednesday." And I swore that my back was killing me. I was like, there is no way this kid isn't trying to get out at this point. It wasn't.
It was salsa.
It was salsa. We were out for Mexican food. But we were on Sunday. I was so tired, and we went over to a neighbor's house, and they had a pool. And I got into that pool, and Joe goes, "Oh, your face looks so much less angry than it has in the last 44 hours." And you know what? It was true. It was less angry. But that was, I think, it's so true. There are just moments where, and it's frustrating. It's hard to be. Irritating to be at a party and at 10 o'clock be exhausted and not want to have to admit it and say, I gotta go, but alas.
I say that all the time.
I'm not my guilt has actually gotten a lot less as we've moved along, but at the same
But I think
time.
too, Abby, which is hard, and I wish I had taken this advice. I got this advice, but I was so determined to not ask for help, is for you to say to Joe, like, I'm losing it.
That's huge.
I need what? I don't know what you need. I need to put earplugs in and go take a bath. And even if the baby cries, the baby's going to be fine. In 20 minutes, the baby will not perish. I need a moment. Or like whatever you need. And it's really hard when you're in the depths of that newborn period to even have the insight to say that. But wouldn't that be nice? Because then you'd be like, oh, that's why she's looking unhappy in her face. And you say, I need help. And maybe it's not Joe. Maybe it's easier for you to call a friend. Like, I think in parenting, it's been interesting how I have found my parenting friends who we just have a little bit of, like, similar life outlooks. And it's interesting, you try to open up a little bit to somebody, and then they say something that actually makes you feel worse in the parenting world. But I think there's people that you're going to find, I hope it's Joe, but it's okay if it's your neighbor or me. You can text me and say, I'm losing it, I need, will you bring me this or do that? Like, there's people maybe that you'll feel more comfortable being vulnerable with, and other people that you just naturally try to have a facade a little bit.
That's so funny that you say that you're willing to be that kind of person for people when you see this all the time, because that's, I worry about exhausting our friends. And as much as I know, you don't.
No.
But at the same time, it's the, okay, they've already done so much. They can't be asked to do one more thing.
Or they have 3 kids, they're going to think I'm weak if I'm like crying because I won.
Yes. Yeah. And so it's, I think, just coming to terms with the fact that they've all been there and they were just there a few years ago. And we've had so many people who have said that to us. They're like, we remember it. And now they're years removed and holding a baby is fun again, so. Yeah. We'll see. But,
yeah.
So that's, so your advice is ask for help.
Ask for help. Find something that you guys can come back to that makes you laugh. TV shows, movies, inside jokes, whatever. And give each other space to sleep and just figure out something that works for both of you. Because if you're both not sleeping at all because you're trying to be there for each other 24 hours a day, that will not last. Humans can't do that.
Are there any big, we'll stay from the delivery room, any part of this, because dads obviously, or partners go to appointments throughout. Any major successes that you look at people and think that is an awesome thing that person is doing?
Or habits that people do consistently. Is it it works different for different people, whether it's a schedule or it's, help that comes in, or it's having, whether that's that partner or a partner's friend, or it's an Aunt Kate or a mom or.
That's a great question. I don't think I can say that because everything's so different. Some people have huge families and they love the energy of a big family. Some people come from a family of 2 and they have 1 cousin and they don't like crowds. So I think it sounds like you guys are type A-ish. Is that fair?
Sure.
The lists. We've talked a lot about lists.
We're both list makers.
Give it a shot. Make a schedule for the week. Who's gonna help with laundry? Who's gonna bring over some frozen lasagna? Specifically that first, I would say 3 months. Honestly, you don't need every meal of every day for 3 months, but just. And then if you guys are ready to fly on your own and you don't need help at 8 weeks, you'll think it's a success. And if your baby's fussy and you're still struggling at 3 months, which is not weakness, some babies are like. Oh my heavens, yeah.
We've even talked about that because in different family members, I have one brother who with their first child, they traveled all the time. That kid was just plopped her in a seat and went everywhere and didn't care. The other brother had a baby who didn't have any of that until he was 6 months old, and now he's happy as can be and thrilled to be anywhere. But it's just so funny how different that is, and you
Yeah.
have no idea what the
don't
kid's
know.
going to be like.
But you always know that you can have a date. You can get somebody for 90 minutes to come to your house, and you guys can go on a date, and that might be getting coffee. But you will be just the two of you, and remember that you guys are the center of this whole thing, and now you're expanding your center, but it started with you, right? And just be like, oh yeah, I like you. I remember that I like you too, right?
There was another one, and it's in the book that we got during our class here, but I remember when we did the childbirth classes episode of Belly Baby, she was talking about, Nicole was talking about, there in this book was an exercise where you would talk about your expectations. Excuse me, in terms of which person would do what jobs, and to sit down and outline that, and just to see and to do the exercise separately, and then to come back and look at how they gel, and then come to terms with that before the kid arrives, which I thought was really interesting. That, you know, if one person
We
says,
can put it on your list.
we'll put it on the list.
Yeah.
Because that's, the list is, it's been checked off very slowly. It's kind of like the things that need to be done before I go on maternity leave here. They're getting checked off. It's taking a while. All right, so Joe, any other questions?
You look like you have a thought.
Quick question. All right, we make it through a couple days. When will I see our doctor again? When will we see our pediatrician for the first time?
Pediatrician and OB, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sure.
Breastfeeding babies 2 to 3 days after you go home from the hospital.
Okay.
Probably roughly the same for babies who are on formula, maybe a little longer. And your OB you will see at 6 weeks, unless you've had a C-section or a complication of pregnancy, and then they might see you at 1 to 2 weeks.
And then the other thing we talked about too before the episode was, and I thought it was a really good question, how do you know the signs that there's something more than tired going on with mom? Meaning if it's postpartum depression or something maybe not quite as severe, but how do you, I mean, at what point do you raise your hand and say something?
Yeah.
And to whom do you say it? Because I can tell you, I mean, in the first trimester, if you had told me I was acting like a loon, maybe you did on occasion, I would have been livid, and I was. But as soon as I got my bearings back and wasn't quite as hormonal a disaster.
When you get your bearings back. Yes, go ahead.
Exactly. Yes. I was able to say, you know what? I was a hot mess, and I just didn't even realize it.
I think you're going to get resistance from somebody no matter when or how you bring up to them that you're worried that they're getting a little deeper into depression, anxiety than is healthy. So everyone gives you a pass for 2 weeks. Unless you're having thoughts of hurting yourself or hallucinations or things. Although at one point I was so sleep deprived, I did hallucinate spiders crawling up the wall when my daughter was like a week old. That was weird. But I even knew it. I'm like, I'm really tired because there are spiders crawling up the wall. So I would say 2 weeks you get a pass, and then after 2 weeks, like Joe, if you notice she's not showering, if Abby's not eating or drinking anything despite trying to make breast milk and feed the baby, if there's just like a drop off in what she's hungry for, if she's crying all the time, and by all the time I mean...
How often is she going to cry?
A couple times a day is probably pretty normal.
Okay.
First couple weeks.
That's sad.
I think that's pretty normal. You're nodding. You agree? Yeah.
This is Jenny behind the camera.
But like,
people have been through this.
Washing the
dishes
dishes while crying and doing the laundry while crying and watching like Mad Max be on Thunderdome and like crying. Like, these are things that you probably odd affect, like odd moods that don't fit the situation are some examples I can think of. I don't know any others. But I think not showering is a big one. Like I worry about women who come to see me for postpartum checkups, incision checks or blood pressure checks, and you can tell they're like, it's not about makeup, it's about like, are you clean? I think that's personally something I look for.
All right, anything else? We run the gamut. This has been so helpful. I feel like we need to give you our insurance card and you can bill it as like a psychotherapy session or something.
I'm feeling bad I'm not Cynthia Rogers because I'm sure she could have done a much better job with the emotional aspects of this.
She was here a couple weeks
ago. Do you feel like this helped you though?
Yeah, I think it. I mean, I think the whole
Will it
series.
help partners in the world?
Yeah, I think the whole series helps, right? Because there are things that are easy to address for certain partners, and there's either things that are sometimes learned from books, but I watch a video and understand, or listen to someone talk and understand. Now, it's a little closer to home for me
Mm-hmm.
because it's my partner, right? But along the way, all the things that you learn in the belly to baby segments kind of help you get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even pay him to say all of that, people. It's just that good. Thank you so much, Jill. It's
Happy
been
to
a
be
pleasure having you here. I was going to say, you'll be the only one present for the next episode, which is when the baby gets out. So we are...
That's the actual title.
That is
When the baby
gets
gets
out. I may
out.
just go, get out, get out, get out. Dr. Camaryn Chrisman Robbins, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For
Thank
being
you.
here for the last so many weeks.
Thank
We've learned so
you.
much, and we'll be back in some form or fashion in the coming weeks, but for the next couple of months probably, other than a Hey Babies Here Facebook post, we will just say goodbye for now, and we'll see you soon.